Now to the growing legal fallout over Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' latest cruel, politically motivated stunt. In Florida, a new lawsuit from a state lawmaker alleges DeSantis violated Florida law when he transported the migrants from Texas, the law saying that migrants must come from this state, meaning Florida. There is also a class action lawsuit in Massachusetts, which accuses DeSantis of a premeditated, fraudulent, and illegal scheme to mislead migrants onto a plane. And in Texas, a sheriff is pursuing a criminal investigation. So these are human beings who are being used as political props. And that is exactly what this is about for Ron DeSantis. It's politics. It's not about the safety of the citizens in the state of Florida. And it's also a way to one-up his troll rival, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Because the New York Times is reporting Mr. DeSantis mused to donors last year about Mr. Abbott's good political fortune to share 1,254 miles of border with Mexico and complained that he didn't have the same to use as a backdrop. Joining me now is Florida State Senator Jason Pizzo. He filed that Florida lawsuit against Ron DeSantis, the Department of Transportation, and other defendants. Senator, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Tell us more about your lawsuit and, frankly, why Ron DeSantis has a very serious problem with his legal defense.
Thank you for having me, Katie. Ours is very simple, actually. A law that just recently passed a few months ago in legislative session up in Tallahassee effectively said that only unauthorized aliens from the state being Florida, when you go and you reach into another state and you put people up in motels and pay for food and even haircuts and give them a nice information packet on their connecting flight to Martha's Vineyard, you're flouting the law that was just passed by your party that basically says that $12 million that's allotted for this can only be used in Florida. And this is the ultimate checks and balance. The passion and emotion, the inhumane treatment, all of the adjectives and superlatives to describe how horrible this is, ours is very narrowly tailored. It says you made the rules of the game and you can't comply with it. And it's actually very simple.
Senator, what about the fact that those two planes that took off in Texas actually touched down in Florida, albeit briefly, but they were in Florida before they ultimately ended up in Martha's Vineyard? Does that affect the strength of your lawsuit against Ron DeSantis in any way?
I'm sure the state's going to try to say that that's enough of a nexus or connection to the state of Florida. Federal law is pretty clear, 49 U.S.C. 46501. It basically says a plane remains in flight unless it's been forced to land, or the other exception is that doors have been opened for disembarkation of passengers. In this case, I think at most perhaps a minor crew change, but no migrants either entered nor exited the plane when it touched down in Florida. It's not going to be enough of a nexus.
And Senator, let's be clear, these were not, quote, unauthorized aliens, which are the subject of that $12 million law that's been set aside to be able to transport them out of the state of Florida. These were people who entered the United States, were going through the immigration process. So, you know, from my reading of your lawsuit, it sounds like Ron DeSantis is in a very serious pickle here. They're either unauthorized aliens that he transported into the state of Florida in violation of his own laws, or they weren't unauthorized aliens.
Yes. Correct.
Which is another law that was passed courtesy of Ron DeSantis, right? Or they weren't unauthorized aliens. They were allowed to be here as they were going through the immigration process. And Ron DeSantis violated his own law by putting them on the planes and schlepping them from Texas to Massachusetts, and frankly, and fraudulently inducing them to do so.
I joined the governor, lieutenant governor, and most of my colleagues in agreeing that Venezuelans live under a tyrannical regime. It's a dictatorship. Over the past few months, both the lieutenant governor and the governor have said the same, that there's a stark difference, the lieutenant governor just recently mentioned, a stark difference between illegal aliens and those fleeing to seek asylum. And Venezuelans are asylum seekers. They were paroled in. We've verified. So, Katie, to your point, two bills passed this session. One was an anti-immigration bill, SB 1808 in Florida. The other one was a General Appropriations Act. DeSantis has to pick and choose. Does he want to say they're unauthorized aliens or not? Does he want to say from Florida or not? He has to pick either one, and both, whichever he picks, he violates the law.
Senator, there's a Category 2 hurricane, Hurricane Ian, that is bearing down on the state of Florida. By my tally, almost $1.6 million has now been spent by Ron DeSantis in this political stunt. What are you hearing from your constituents about this type of money being spent, albeit maybe it was put in the budget, but there are people that are facing very serious harm to their lives and their properties because of this. But Ron DeSantis thinks it's a better use of his money, or the taxpayers' money, frankly, to be able to do this political stunt.
It's a spectacle. With the hurricane bearing down on us, property insurance, we're in an absolute crisis. Another company just failed. And Katie, you know, you were a prosecutor, same office that I was before. You were a high-profile civil attorney and on national TV. I'll tell you what's really upsetting. Pinellas deputy sheriff was killed the other day by an illegal alien who was contracted by the Florida Department of Transportation to do road work in the state of Florida. I would not have filed this suit if he was complying with the law. The governor was complying with the law that's on the books from this past year. But when you're going out to Texas, when we're desperately in need of relief here, you know, I'm going to come at you.
Florida State Senator Jason Pizzer, we're going to watch your lawsuit very carefully, and we appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you, Katie.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber. Thanks for watching The Beat. I wanted to let you know I'm writing a foreword to the January 6th committee's full report, which is coming out soon from HarperCollins. You can go pre-order the book right now, and it'll come to you first when the report comes out in the fall or whenever the government releases it. Just search Melber Jan 6th on Amazon or your favorite independent book site and click pre-order. You'll be the first to get both the report and my new piece on the coup conspiracy. You can also go to melberbook.com and order it there.